Hey girls, what time is it?
Adventure time.
Yeah, where are we going?
St. George.
With our bikes, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You so excited?
Yeah.
All right. We've got the car all packed up with the bikes inside and all of our stuff, and then outside we have Jessica's and mine and Lucy's bikes on the bike rack using the trailer hitch receiver here. So yeah, we are using our bike rack to take the bikes down to St. George on this trip, which is going to be the first time that we have done a long distance trip with the bike rack. So we'll see how it goes. I'm mostly concerned about the range. It's going to take a hit, and so we'll potentially have to charge up at the Nephi Supercharger on the way down. We'll have about 45 minutes before we get about to that point on the freeway. So we'll watch the energy consumption, and if it's so much higher that we won't be able to get to the Beaver Supercharger, then we'll stop in Nephi. Let's get started. Our battery was charged up to 99% when we left home, and in the past we've been able to drive straight down to the Supercharger in Beaver, Utah, which is 172 miles away, arriving with a safety margin of around 10%. However, this was our first trip taking bicycles on the bike rack, and I didn't know how much that would affect our range. I had routed us to the Beaver Supercharger, and you can see there on the screens that the car kept warning us we weren't going to be able to make it at our current speed. So we decided to stop and charge in Nephi. That was after driving 1 hour, going 60 miles at 66.3% efficiency, which consumed 35% of our battery, or $3.07 of electricity. We've been on the road for about 45 minutes, and I've decided I'm going to go ahead and stop at the Nephi Supercharger. This is still routed to the Beaver Supercharger. You can see it keeps saying to go below a certain speed to reach your destination, and 5% arrival this far away is still too low. I don't really want to trust it. Now for a lot of this we were going about 80 miles an hour, now we're going about 85, but you can see the energy consumption is quite a bit higher than it would be if we didn't have the bike rack on the back, and that's about what I expected. So we're just going to stop in Nephi for a little bit to give us more of a safety margin. We are plugged in, and we're at 63%, and it's charging at 42 kilowatts. It was up closer to 45 a second ago. We're actually plugged into some temporary chargers that they have here that are the 75 kilowatt max chargers. But because we're getting here with 64% on the battery, we wouldn't really be able to charge faster than this anyway, so I just figured we'll take one of these. So what we want to do now is route ourselves to the Beaver Superchargers. So I'm going to open up the Supercharger list, and we'll go here to Beaver. And so this will give us an idea of how long we need to charge here for. Looks like it's saying we need to charge for 10 minutes, and I don't necessarily trust that entirely. I'm going to say continued trip, and then we'll see here two things. I'm looking to see what the estimated arrival percentage is, and we'll leave here when that's probably about 20%, and right now it's 5%. The other thing is we can pull up our energy graph, and here we see that the expected range is 108 miles, and we have 114 miles to go to get to the Beaver Supercharger. So when these numbers make sense, when we're comfortably on this one, comfortably above the distance that it takes to get there, or maybe around 20% estimated arrival, then we will unplug and go. Here at the Nephi Supercharger, they have these two temporary chargers in. They're kind of interesting. They just have these cables coming out of the cabinet area for the normal superchargers, and then the cables just run here along the length of all of the existing chargers. And then here they have the two temporary ones on this pallet thing, although one of them is covered, so I don't know what's up with that, but kind of interesting how they do that. One thing I was unsure of is whether or not we would have issues backing up to these normal supercharger pedestals with the bike rack, and here you can see we're actually past them a little bit. I don't know if they would have reached. We're going to find out the next supercharger in Beaver. We are at 80% state of charge. It's estimating 35 minutes, but we're not going to go to full. It's estimating that we'll arrive at 18%, and I'm sure that will be lower when we get there. The projected range based on our prior 30 miles is 134 miles, and that is at 434 watt hours per mile. And so I think we're going to go ahead and take off. This is enough safety margin for us with the bike rack on the back, hopefully. If not, we'll just slow down. Also, one other thing that we want to do before going out, the parking lot entrance here is fairly uneven. So I'm going to put the air suspension to very high so that we don't scrape the bike racks on our way out. It was a bit cold out, so the girls just stayed in their seats with a blanket on while the car charged. You can see here on the screen that the majority of the time we were there, it was charging less than 40 kilowatts, which is on the slow side. But we are usually charging when the battery is a lot closer to empty than this, and test the batteries charge faster when they're empty. Our typical energy consumption on this stretch of freeway is 360 watt-hours per mile, which is 85% efficiency. On this section from the Nephi Supercharger to the Beaver Supercharger was an average of 513 watt-hours per mile, or 60% efficient. That's a pretty good indicator of just how aerodynamic the Model S is. This segment took 1 hour and 27 minutes and consumed 77% of our battery, or 59.9 kilowatt hours, to drive the 117 mile distance, and would have cost us $6.53 worth of electricity at regular retail rates in Utah. But superchargers are typically about double the cost of retail rates for electricity where they're located. However, we have free supercharging, so it cost us nothing other than wear on the tires and miles on the odometer. Our estimated arrival percentage began at 19% and we arrived at 4%. That's because the Tesla software doesn't know there's a bike rack on the back of the car and other minor variables. We are approaching Beaver. It is 2 miles away. We are arriving at 5%, it looks like, which is about what I expected. We've had pretty heavy energy consumption as we've gone over the mountains and with the bikes behind us. So we'll get plugged in there. Hopefully there's not a line, and we'll go eat some dinner. We are at Beaver, plugged in. It looks like it's going to peak out at about 115 kilowatts. We arrived at 4% just barely, and it's already up to 5%. We've already gotten 1 kilowatt hour. So to calculate how much we need to charge for sure, we can come here to the Supercharger list, and we'll navigate to the, let's see, we want to go to the faster Supercharger in St. George, and it is estimating that we would need to be here for 25 minutes. We'll say continue trip and see what the estimated arrival percentage will be. Because we have the bike rack on the back, we definitely need to double that. So we're usually comfortable with this being 10%. It hasn't finished calculating it yet, but we're going to wait till that is at least 20% before we leave. So in general, it looks like it thinks it will be only needing 25 minutes worth of a charge to get to St. George from here, which is 104 miles. I don't quite believe that. We'll see how it turns out. We're gonna go over there to the Timberline restaurant, which is right there across the parking lot, and we're gonna eat dinner. Girls, are you excited for dinner?
Yeah.
How was the drive here?
Good. Good.
Good? What did you do?
Listen to a story.
And slept?
No, I didn't.
You sure did.
All of you slept. All right, let's go eat dinner. This is how close we had to get to the sign here in the back. We've got about, I don't know, 6 inches there between the sign and the back of our bike rack. And the cord for the Supercharger is not stretched completely tight, so I'm glad to see that that actually works. There have been some places where I wasn't sure if that would actually fit. So Jessica's already taken the kids there across the parking lot. I don't know if you can see them, but I'm gonna head over and we're gonna eat dinner. The Beaver Supercharger is notoriously busy, and you can see there are 7 Teslas charging and 1 available spot. So luckily we didn't have to wait in the line. Girls, what do you think of your dinner? You like it? Yeah? Oh, by the way, Valentine's Day is this weekend. Girls, you wanna show your hair?
Look over at me, Lydia. Look at me. Lydia, look at me.
Oh, there you go. There's Lydia's hair, and then this is Clara's hair.
Look up a little.
There you go. You can see the heart shape there. And then this is Lucy's hair. You can see it's got the same as Clara. Heart coming around. Really cute hair, girls. We just got our food and the car is at 62%. And it would be another 50 minutes before it's full. We'll probably leave before then though. Oh, and it's charging at 44 kilowatts. Hey girls, how was dinner? You liked it?
Clara, how was dinner? Did you like it?
We'll take that as a yes. Looks like only half the superchargers are full at the moment, so that's good.
I'm a little cold, but we're almost to the
Got that cooling fan going. The car's at 85% state of charge, 26 kilowatt charge rate right now. So we're gonna get on the road, but just for fun, we'll check here, and it's showing that we will arrive at 45%. So we overstayed, but it's okay where we're going. It's okay to have some extra energy at your destination. We have 104 miles left to go. This segment took 1 hour and 17 minutes to go 101 miles, consuming 59% of our battery at 450 watt-hours per mile, or 69% efficiency, which is 98 miles per gallon equivalent. Overall, for the entire drive down, we drove a total of 288 miles at 65% efficiency. We drove for 4 hours and charged for 1 hour and 28 minutes. We used 137 kilowatt hours, or 478 watt-hours per mile. We spent a little more time charging on this trip than we normally would have without the bike rack on the back. Our typical efficiency at freeway speeds is around 80%, so overall we got about 15% less efficiency due to the bike rack. We'll see how well it does on the way home. We've arrived, and we ended up arriving at 27%. If I remember correctly, it had estimated that we would be arriving with, I want to say 42%. I can't remember exactly. So in any case, I was driving quite a bit faster on that leg because I knew I had plenty of energy. And so that's what we arrived with. And now I'm going to investigate and see what we can plug into here. I investigated behind this washer and dryer, and it had a 240 volt outlet, which was a NEMA 1430, and we could have run the cord in through this window in the bathroom. However, it would have just been more work than it was worth. After investigating the electrical charging options at the house we're staying at, I decided to just come to the local Supercharger. They have the least available electrical outlets of any place we've ever stayed there. They have one standard NEMA 515, 15 amp outlet available on the back of the house, which I'll probably be using as I figured out how to get a couple of different extension cords to work, and I'll show you that in the morning when it's bright. But that's not going to be enough for now, and so since the battery's warm and we just arrived, I decided to come to the Supercharger. Now in this case, we're actually at the new St. George Convention Supercharger, which is a couple of the new kind, or I shouldn't say new, they're the destination charger kind. You can see over there that's just a white pedestal. And those max out at 75 kilowatts, but I didn't figure like that would be a big deal because you can see it's already down to 65 kilowatts right there. It was at 74 kilowatts for a minute though. So I got here at about 25% on the battery, and I'll probably charge up to like around 80 or maybe 75%, and then I'll plan on just taking it back over to the house and charging it with the slow charger that we have there overnight. So this particular Supercharger location is in South St. George, right off the edge of I-15. The other Supercharger, which has been here for a very long time, it's one of the earliest Superchargers, it is a little bit off the beaten path and it was farther away. I didn't want to bother to go there. I knew they had up to 150 kilowatt charge rate on those, whereas here it's max of 75. But because my car was charged up to the 25%, I knew it wasn't going to be able to peak up there and above 100 kilowatts anyway. And I'm not in a big hurry, and this was closer, so it works. In any case, I'll be here for a bit, and we'll see how long that takes, and then I'll go back to the house. The car's up to 85% now, and I'm going to just go ahead and go home, and then we'll plug it in at the standard household outlet and get it up to 90% overnight. I am back here at the house, and you can see I lowered the amperage here to 12 amps because I'm on a 15 amp circuit. So this is 80% of that circuit maximum. And it is charging at that 12 amps, which translates to basically 1 kilowatt and at 120 volts. So to get up to 90% from 83%, it'll take 5 hours and 45 minutes. Crazy slow, but it'll work fine for getting us up to the 90% that I want it to be for tonight, and the weekend that we are here we'll use it to keep us topped up. But we'll probably have to go up and hit charge at the Supercharger again just before heading home. It is now the next morning, so I can now show you what the charging looks like here at the house with the standard household outlet. And I got here and plugged it in at 83% last night, and it got up to 90% like 5 hours later, no problem. So we'll be able to keep the car topped up while we're here with this outlet, but we may have to hit up the Supercharger again on the way out of town. It just kind of depends on how much we drive while we're here. So the car is currently plugged in but not charging, and this is the run of cable. Now this is the most ridiculous run of cable I have ever done in any of our travels. So the standard mobile connector cable only went this far, like to the front door, and that could have been enough if they had an outlet anywhere in this front porch area, but they don't. So I pulled out our high-powered extension cord that is meant for, a NEMA 1450 outlet, 50 amp outlets. So this is the Gen 1 Tesla mobile connector, NEMA 1450 connector here going into this extension cord. That extension cord is 30 feet long, and it goes all the way along the side of the house here. And I have these connections underneath this overhang because we're supposed to get some precipitation today. And so I got this up off the ground as well because I don't want it to be splashing on the ground when it rains. So once again, this is the other end of that 30-foot extension cord. Now here is a ridiculous kludge, and I recognize that, but it works, and it's all rated for the amount of power going through it. So what's going on here is this is a adapter that we use for charging at campgrounds on a 30 amp connection, or a TT30. So this end is a TT30 plug, and this is the NEMA 1450 receptacle, and that's what works with our extension cord here. Then here is actually a new adapter we just barely picked up when we got our RV. So this is supposed to be able to plug your standard 30 amp connection RV, a TT30 connection, into a standard household outlet, which is a NEMA 515. And so we're going from 1450 to TT30 to 515. And then this is a standard 515 standard household outlet extension cord, and I double checked the gauge on this, and these are 12 gauge wires which are capable of handling up to 20 amps, and we're only charging at 12 amps continuous, so this extension cord is plenty sufficient. And that's looping down here and coming up over this fence, and then we're coming all the way here into the backyard. That's my bike. And then this finally is the first and closest receptacle that I was able to locate to plug our car into. So yes, that is a pretty ridiculous run, and definitely the most ridiculous one that I've done while charging our Tesla on trips. When you heard the lightning and thunder? Look outside. Oh, wow.
Jeez. What's hail?
It's little pieces of ice.
Ice falls from the sky?
That's what snow is. Due to the unfortunate weather, we weren't able to play outside just yet, but the girls had fun dancing to the Chicken Nugget Dreamland song by Perry Grip, as well as Freeze Dance, Free Song for Kids by the Kaboomers, before they then transitioned to reading books for a little while. It's still fun to get away to a new place sometimes, even if it's still indoors. Luckily, the weather passed relatively quickly, and we ventured forth to explore the area.
I'm getting sweaty.
Good job dancing.
Alexa, turn on.
Hey, let's go on a bike ride. We're going on a bike ride. Look at you, Clara. Good job.
I can't believe it. I'm doing it by myself.
Good riding, Lydia. We had a good amount of rain this afternoon. In fact, we even had some hail. So the roads are still wet and it's still a little cold. But we figured we'd go out and explore our neighborhood that we're staying in here this weekend. This is a fun, picturesque spot where they have a table, and in the background is a bike trail, and that's where we're headed. And then all along here it has all these decorations, like right there's an old boot and wagon tire, etc., with a bunch of cacti Hey Lucy,
Huh?
I dare you to touch one of those thorns.
Hey, kid.
Yes.
I did it.
Oh, was it bad? Good job.
I did it and it poked me.
It poked you. That's what thorns do.
I touched it. I'm touching this. I'm touching this.
That doesn't count as a cactus.
I was like, had a cactus for a pet.
Hmm. Here is a really steep 12+% grade. Hope Lucy knows how to use her brakes. We're now down on the bike trail and it's got really picturesque, this is the edge of the Virgin River on this side. And so we have a whole bunch of cattails, and then on this other side it's the backyards of houses that we're about to pass behind.
Dad, did you see me?
I didn't. Can you do it again? Oh, you stood up while you rode. Good job. Oh, you're riding really fast, Lydia. Good riding, girls. Just like that. Are you riding so good?
Show Dad how fast you can go.
Yeah, Clara. Hey, Lydia. All right. Lucy is so speedy. We're going up a steep hill now, and we're right here on the edge of the Virgin River. Oh, and we're stopping to look at the view, apparently. Oh, I see it.
I can see something under the ground. Wow, Dad, how tall can those vines get?
Looks like about 12 feet tall.
Jeez.
Here is the Virgin River Boardwalk. This is a cool boardwalk, huh, girls?
But also scary.
Why is it scary?
Because it's so high up and it might break and we could fall.
I am sure it will not break. There's a tiny little waterfall over there. Ah! One advantage of me riding on one wheel and Jessica walking is that I can film things and then catch up. Girls, what did you find? Well, here's the other side of this trail where we're departing it anyway, and it's another 12% grade, which is not surprising because we're going up the same bluff, just at a different part. And Lydia's pushing her bike. Oh, it's so hard, huh? And so is Lucy. What do you think, Lucy? Is it hard? Really steep, huh?
Yeah, that's really steeper than I thought. I thought I could just ride right up there and do a flip and land on my wheels.
Yeah. This is the least scenic part of this trail that we've done so far today.
Plans are crazy.